We begin with Allah's blessed name. We praise Him and we glorify Him as He ought to be praised and glorified. And we pray for peace and for blessings on all His noble messengers, including the last of them all, the blessed Prophet Muhammad sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam, as we greet you from beautiful Jumbar on this rainy morning, on this, the 25th day of the month of Zil Hajjah, with Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I noticed something different this morning. All through this salat, I could not hear the birds. The salat ended 5 minutes ago, still I cannot hear the birds. So I said, maybe they know something that I don't know. Maybe there's some great evil coming today. But when I came outside and I look at the sky, I realized that there are rain clouds in the sky. So outside it's still dark. That's why the birds are not singing. And the second thing I want to say, that this is not a television news channel.
Sorry.
Those who want news about what's happening in Iran, go somewhere else for news. This is not a news channel. Show some respect. This is not political science. This is not military science. This is using the Quran and using the Hadith to understand what's happening in the world. And this is Islamic Eschatology, explaining the world in Akhirul Zaman. If you are not comfortable with someone using the Quran and Hadith to explain what's happening in the world today, then kindly go somewhere else and leave us alone. If you are not comfortable with Islamic Eschatology, then kindly leave us and go your way. And what we have said so far about the Israeli attack on Iran, the manner in which it has taken place so publicly, the announcement being made in advance that we're going to attack Iran, the disdain for the United Nations Charter and international law, all of these present to the world evidence that Pax Judaica has arrived. I was expecting Pax Judaica to emerge only after the Great War. But now I have to recognize that Pax Judaica has arrived. And in the first lecture, we went to Surah Al-Mursalat of the Quran, in which Allah spoke of a shadow with 3 parts. If you are not comfortable with my interpretation of the Quran, then you don't have to accept it. We don't have to have a boxing match. And we do not divide the believers over interpretation. But we remind you that we published Jerusalem in the Quran 25 years ago. And in that book we anticipated the movement from Pax Britannica and Pax Americana to a Pax Judaica, indicating that the time will come when Israel will defy the world. And Israel will begin to behave like a ruling state in the world. They laughed at me 25 years ago. I don't hear them laughing now. If I keep on repeating that they shut the doors of the masjid on me, and even now, 25 years later, they still keep on shutting the doors of the masjid on me. I ask you to be patient with me. because our Prophet, Allah's blessings be upon him, prophesied. He prophesied that this day will come when the masajid will be grand structures, وَهِيَ خَرَابُ مِنَ الْهُدَى, but devoid of guidance, like empty shells. So be patient with me. Yesterday we explained from the Quran why is it that a Pax Britannica emerged in which Britain was ruling the world, and then a Pax Americana replaced Britain with the United States ruling the world so that they could prepare the way for Israel to become a ruling state in the world, Pax Judaica. And we left Suratul Mursalat and we went to Suratul Saba. And we saw Sulaiman alayhi salam, the prophet and the king, who is ruling the world from Holy Israel. Holy Israel is a ruling state in the world. And Sulaiman alayhi salam sees a vision in which Allah shows him someone sitting on his throne. He is a jasad, a body without a soul. And Sulaiman alayhi salam recognizes him to be someone evil. And Sulaiman alayhi salam recognizes that this evil being wants to inherit my kingdom. This evil being wants to rule the world from Jerusalem, from what would appear to be the holy state of Israel, from what would appear to be the Khilafah state of Israel. And Sulaiman alayhi salam does not want that to happen. So he makes a dua to Allah, a prayer. Yesterday we shared that dua with you. قال رب بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم قال رب اغفر لي. He said, "Oh Allah, kindly forgive me." He is not seeking forgiveness for any particular sin he committed. No. This is his way, that if he wants to ask for something from Allah, he first asks for istighfar or forgiveness. This is the sunnah or the way of Sulaiman alayhi salam, the prophet Solomon.
Yeah.
وَهَبْلِي مُلْكًا لَا يَنْبَغِي لِأَحَدٍ مِّن بَعْدِي, and grant that none can inherit my kingdom after me. And grant that there can never be another kingdom comparable to mine. And so that my kingdom would be a ruling state in the world. The implication of being a ruling state is that there can be no rival. No one can threaten this state. And there can be no combination of rivals which can threaten this. Indonesia, I'm teaching you. Most of those present are young people. You are now beginning to climb the mountain. Recognize what is a ruling state. And you will understand why this bogus state of Israel is behaving the way it is behaving in Gaza. And why this bogus state of Israel is attacking Iran at this time. As soon as Sulaiman alayhi salam died, Allah answered his dua, and holy Israel collapsed. And holy Israel has never been restored. And before Sulaiman alayhi salam died, Allah gave him the power to control the climate, to understand the language of the bird. And even when the ants were speaking, Sulaiman could understand. وَالرِّيحَ تَجْرِي بِأَمْرِهِ رُخَاءً وَحَيْثُ أَصَابَ, says Allah in the Quran. That the wind was under his control. And he could cause the wind to blow gently. And he could cause the wind to blow in whichever direction he wanted. We ended the lecture yesterday by giving our interpretation. You don't have to accept it if you are not convinced that the Jasad is Dajjal. We don't have to have a boxing match. You can leave me and go your way. You don't have to have a PhD in sniping. We believe that the Jasad is Dajjal. And so Dajjal will create a bogus state of Israel. And Dajjal will one day cause that bogus state of Israel to become Pax Judaica. And Dajjal will show his expertise in spying. That is the jassasa in the hadith of Tamim ad-Dari. And Dajjal will show his command over the sky with his technology in the sky. We spoke about the flying donkey. And there's also now in the world the technology of drones. And today, Dajjal commands the sky over Iran. My people want to hear the truth from me. They don't want me to be serving them with sandwiches with butter and jam. And the truth is that Israel is spectacularly successful, both in terms of spying, the knowledge, the espionage, the intelligence, to be able to take out, to kill the head of the Iranian armed forces. They knew where he was living, and they were able to kill him. So who is going to give the commands to respond? This is espionage at its best. This is great humiliation for Iran. Spectacular success for Israel. Don't be annoyed with me when I speak the truth. If you want fake news with butter and jam, go somewhere else. Not only was Israel spectacularly successful in its intelligence and espionage, but Israel was also spectacularly successful with its flying donkey. If you are uncomfortable with my interpretation of the flying donkey, that the flying donkey is the military aircraft. The flying donkey is the military aircraft. The flying donkey is the passenger aircraft. The flying donkey is the drones. And if you prefer to wait for an actual donkey flying in the sky, there is no need for a boxing match. You go your way and let us go our way. Now then, for today's lecture, we want to return now to the kursi of Sulaiman alayhi salam. That holy Israel was a ruling state. Holy Israel was a khilafah state. Is that too difficult to understand? that a Khilafah state is a holy state? Is that so difficult to understand? That a Khilafah state is a ruling state? The world has witnessed only two Khilafah states established by a prophet of Allah. The first was Holy Israel, established in Jerusalem. And the second was the Holy Islamic State in Medina, established by Nabi Muhammad, Allah's blessing be upon him. And now today we see Israel beginning the process of behaving like a ruling state. In order for Dajjal to convince the Jews that he is the Messiah, not only does he have to liberate the Holy Land for the Jews, the Holy Land was under Muslim control for 1,000 years. But in 1917, Dajjal succeeded in liberating the Holy Land for the Jews. While our scholars were eating biryani and going home to sleep, or eating couscous and going home to sleep, or eating nasi lemak and going home to sleep. In order for Dajjal to convince the Jews that he is the Messiah, he has to bring the Jews back to Jerusalem, to reclaim Jerusalem as their own. 2,000 years after Allah had destroyed Jerusalem, 2,000 years after Allah had expelled the Jews, 2,000 years after Allah had placed a ban on them, they could never return to reclaim Jerusalem as their own. And Allah had declared, you will never return to reclaim Jerusalem as your own. Hatta, until. This is Suratul Anbiya now. Hatta iza futihat Ya'juj wa Ma'juj. Until Gog and Magog are released. وَهُمْ مِنْ كُلِّ حَدَبٍ يَنْسِلُونَ. And they spread out all over the world. And they come at you from every height. This is Suratul Anbiya of the Quran. And today, modern Western civilization is the civilization of Gog and Magog. And the same people who control power in the West are the same people who control power in Israel. And they are Gog and Magog. And Imran Hosein, you could keep on repeating this from now on Qiyamah. They will never accept the truth. So today we say to them in Jambar, you are not scholars. You are a waste of time. And the young ones of this ummah have to turn away from you and move forward without you. Today the Jews have returned to Jerusalem. Today they have recovered Jerusalem as their own. Today a state of Israel has been restored in Jerusalem. And today that state, that bogus state of Israel, wants us to believe it is a Khilafah state. So now then, the big question, Sheikh Abdulaziz must listen carefully now. What is a Khilafah state? Is there anyone teaching the subject? No. Everybody accept the substitute that Dajjal has created. The
Dari
modern
yang telah diciptakan Dajjal.
secular nation state. Everybody go and vote in elections. Everybody. But not me. Not my students. The critics, they go and vote in elections. But we don't vote in elections. Why? Because when you vote in the elections, you are validating the bogus substitute to the Khilafah state. And there are no scholars to stand up and tell you this is wrong. Either they don't have the knowledge or they're too scared to talk. If you speak against elections, you will lose popularity. You could also lose your job. The Khilafah state is not like today's modern state. A Khilafah state submits only to Allah. Let me repeat. A Khilafah state submits only to Allah. Let me repeat one more time for the dum-dums. They have only peanuts in their head. A Khilafah state submits only to Allah. Every single state in the world today is not only a member of the United Nations organization and submits to the Charter. Every single state in the world today submits to the authority of the Security Council of the United Nations and submits to international law, to an international order based on rules, but not a Khilafah state. A Khilafah state will not be a member of the United Nations organization. A Khilafah state will not submit to the authority of the Security Council. Pakistan submits to the Charter of the United Nations. Pakistan submits to the Security Council authority. Iran does the same thing. Turkey does the same thing. Saudi Arabia does the same thing. When will you learn to think? None of these are the model of a Khilafah state. Russia does the same thing. But look at Israel. Israel is defying international law. Israel is defying the Security Council of the United Nations. Israel is defying the whole world. The evidence is as plain as daylight. Israel wants to convince the Jews that this is the holy state of Israel, and this is the model of a Khilafah state. Tomorrow we continue, inshallah, in explaining and defining a Khilafah state. Any questions?
Brother Taufik has been following your lecture for some time. He wanted to ask, dear Sheikh, what is the meaning behind Prophet Sulaiman's control over the wind, which also implied control over the weather? And how should we understand the idea of that today? Dajjal may be controlling the wind in a similar way, yet wind is not merely about climate, it is also represent direction like a compass that determines the cardinal points. Does this suggest that Dajjal will ultimately guide humanity entirely towards the direction he desires?
Okay. There are limits to my knowledge. And there might be young ones who might understand better than I do. So when I offer a response,
Dan jika
that
saya
does not mean it's the last word. Why did Allah give to Sulaiman alayhi salam power over the wind? Why did Allah give to Sulaiman alayhi salam the language, understand the language of the bird? Why did Allah give to Sulaiman alayhi salam the understanding of the language of the ants? And why did Allah give to Sulaiman alayhi salam a staff? And inside of the staff there is a minsa'a. And with that minsa'a you can intervene in time and cause time to move forward and backward. I do not know the answer, except that these are recognized as miracles, and that therefore Dajjal will have to do the same thing. But instead of Dajjal performing miracles,
perlihatkan
Dajjal will
mujizat
cause
tersebut,
technology to advance to such an extent that Dajjal will control climate. He uses, for example, the motor car, and he uses the exhaust from the factories to cause climate change, to cause global warming. And as global warming takes place, the ice in the mountains are melting, glaciers are melting, and we are being inundated with floods. Sometime the flood will cover the whole house, and we are now witnessing the sea level rising, and islands are being threatened. This is technology at work to bring about control of climate. And as Dajjal is able to demonstrate that he controls climate, that he can understand the language of the dolphins, and he can communicate with the dolphins. Maybe tomorrow we see the language of the birds and the ants as well. Dajjal is now replicating Sulaiman alayhi salam. But there may be more to the answer that I don't know. I've always said Indonesia has quick thinking, even in kampung. So I'm telling Indonesia, start to think. Any more questions?
Atau dalam bahasa Indonesia. Ya, dalam bahasa Indonesia, apa definisi jasasa dan spionase, dan apakah hanya dari Yahudi atau orang Islam juga?
What is the definition of jasasa and espionage?
But jasasa is a spy. The question is, what's the definition of jasasa? Jasasa is in the hadith of Tamim ud-Dari. Jasasa is a spy. So the Prophet ﷺ is connecting spying with Dajjal. Next question.
Maulana, the question was not finished. The second part is, is it only from the Jews or also from Muslim?
Is it only for the Jews or also for Muslims? I don't understand the question. Is it only for the Jews or also for Muslims? Please ask me another question. I don't understand that
Saya
question. I
tidak-
don't understand
saya
that
tidak
question. I
mengerti.
don't understand it. Sorry, I don't understand it. Next question. I don't understand it. Next question.
Oh,
What is the relationship between Dajjal, Gog and Magog, and the Jews? I can understand that question. In Surah Al-A'raf, when they went fishing on the day of the Sabbath, Allah cursed them. And He said, Kunu kiradatan khasi'in. Be apes despised. We have explained that no human being became a monkey. So we say, stop thinking like monkeys. No human being ever became a monkey. La tabdila li khalqillah. There is no change in Allah's creation. A human being remains a human being from creation until the end of time. So these are a people who are cursed by Allah to eventually live like monkeys. We have explained this subject. That this is modern Western civilization, which is now living like monkeys. Now, the very next verse or ayah in Surah Al-A'raf, this is what it says. فَأَعُوذُ بِاللَّهِ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ وَإِذْ تَأَذَّنَ رَبُّكَ لَيَبْعَثَنَّ عَلَيْهِمْ إِلَى يَوْمِ الْقِيَامَةِ مَنْ يَسُومُهُمْ سُوءَ الْعَذَابِ. And your Rabb has now announced that He will now send against them until Qiyamah those who will inflict upon them
terhadap mereka.
Azab,
Apa?
the worst possible punishment.
Jadi
Question: who is Allah speaking about?
pertanyaan.
Answer: this is our interpretation.
Ya.
You don't have to accept my interpretation.
Kamu tidak
Allah is speaking of Dajjal and He's speaking of Gog and Magog. And He's possibly also speaking about Dabbatul Ard. So in this verse of the Quran, we see the link between Dajjal and Gog and Magog. Then again we see in Surah Al-Anbiya the link between Dajjal and Gog and Magog. The Dajjal uses Gog and Magog to bring the Jews back to Jerusalem. The Dajjal creates modern Western civilization. And Dajjal causes Gog and Magog to control power in modern Western civilization. For 25 years now, this has been the solitary voice explaining the relationship between Dajjal and Gog and Magog. And that those who control power in the modern Western world, as well as the Judeo-Christian alliance, the Zionist alliance, to which most Jews belong, and those who control power in Israel today, are working for Dajjal, and that they are Gog and Magog. But I have failed to convince the world of scholars of Islam. And so today, when Pax Judaica has arrived, we have to say to the world of Islamic scholarship, sadly so, we're moving on and we're leaving you behind. Assalamu alaikum. Until tomorrow.